آفرین.
استثناء.
Mhm. The bar in France's southeastern city of Grenoble. Hello, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Apologies that we are starting late.
Yes.
I'll hand you over to Professor Mike now. Yes.
No.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So sorry this is happening. Yeah, good morning. My name is Bola Mike. I'll be teaching the course along with some of my colleagues that we have started already. We had a technical challenge earlier in the day. That's why we are running a bit behind schedule, but we'll try and see how far we can go. Essentially, what we'll look at in this session is to look at social institution and social change from what I've placed on the slide. We're looking at some of these institutions and how have they changed in recent time. So moving forward, this will be the focus of today's lecture. We'll look at some social institutions that we have listed. And if you have your course outline, you'll have noticed these are the things captured for this week. We'll look at marriage, we'll look at family, we'll look at education and socialization. Essentially, we'll look at economy and the work. How do you do the work in the place of economic system? We also look at politics and government, health and medicine, and religion. And lastly, we'll look at social movement and social change. Our focus will be to look at this different social institution. We'll look at the definition of all of the institutions, and we'll also look at how they changed in recent time. And of course, I'll end on a note of looking at social movement and social change, and we'll wrap it up at that level. So starting with the social institution and social change, just giving us like introduction. So social systems have been defined by different people, and the definition we have decided to adopt is to look at social institutions as established subsystem in the society. They include family, education, religion, among other things. Some of these institutions have been found to play crucial roles in maintaining social order and stability. That is, social institutions are there to assist the society to have stability. Without this institution, imagine we don't have family, we don't have educational setup, we don't have religious setup. How life, just imagine how life would be like. It will be quite challenging, because therefore there will be no way to know what is the right way to live, what are the social norms, what are the social values, what are the acceptable patterns of behavior, and what are the things I should do and what are the things I should not do as a citizen and as a member of the society. So that will have created a lot of chaos, confusion, a lot of challenges for the society. So if you want to look at definition of social change, which I'll also expatiate later on, we look at social change as the transformation over time. Social change is a process. It's not just an event. It is the transformation over time in the society culture, in the structure, and the functioning of the society. The changes and the transformation are such that you can see clearly in the day-to-day, the way of life of the people, which is culture, in the composition, the structure, and the setup of the society, and more importantly, how the society itself functions in that scheme of things and all of that. So what we're saying essentially, like, social institutions are dynamic, they are evolving, they are changing, they are not static. Imagine the way family was structured maybe 50 years ago. It's not the same way we have it today. Imagine the way education was done 100 years ago. It's not the same way we're having education today. Even in the last 10 years, things have changed. In the past, if you're not able to come to the classroom, the physical contact, you're likely to just feel, oh, there's nothing we can do. But now here we are with technology, ICT, we can still have lecture going on in spite of the fact that we are not seeing ourselves physically. I mean, literally physically, although we can see through the means of this. So what we're essentially looking at today will be to discuss all of this and take it away from where we are. Social institutions, therefore, have changed in terms of where they have significantly impacted our society over time. Social institutions have changed significantly, and these changes that we have noticed are significant changes brought about by social change. So social change, therefore, can be seen and defined as the way human interaction and relationship transform cultural and social institutions over time with profound impact on the society. The social change is the way human interaction, the day-to-day interaction of individuals, of members of the society, and how relationships, either in the formal sector or in the informal sector, transform the cultural and social institution over time. And this transformation have been found to have profound impact on the society. So from this, we can say social institutions have changed, cultural, social, political norms and values have changed also, Personal relationship, interpersonal relationship have also changed because of all of us. Collectively, we have decided to change. There was a time when twins were killed because they were found not to be acceptable in the society. They were seen not to be culturally acceptable. But here we are now, people celebrate multiple birth, twins, among other things. So this therefore means that some of these changes that we have noticed were a result of collective action of people, and this collective action have been seen to have brought about positive social change. Truth be told, not all of us agree that change will happen. But the truth of the matter is we can't deny the fact that change had happened. Social change had happened because of the movement of some individuals, some citizens working together to make a difference in the society. So we therefore accept the fact that change is inevitable, change is constant, change is always happening. Like people will say in popular parlance, if there's anything that is constant in life, it is change. Things will never remain the same. The society evolves. The society changes. You and I also were changing. But we should not just accept change as it comes. Individuals are not to be helpless. We're not supposed to be powerless as change comes. We're supposed to be part of the process of directing the way social change happens. And we can change and shape the way society is structured. And that is the importance of active engagement of citizens in the change that happens in the society. And that is why everyone matters, everyone is important, because we can create the change we desire in the world. So specifically now when we look at social institution, we can define it as patterns of values, of behaviors and relationship that systematize social life. It gives social life a form of systematization. It brings about institutionalization of the ways things are done. You have the norms, you have the values, you have the patterns of behavior, you have relationships set by the society, well established by the society. These are the protocol. These are the things you can do. These are the things you cannot do. Therefore, social institutions provide us a framework. It gives us a framework for organizing ourselves and regulating social behavior. It tells us what we can do and what we cannot do. In society, you have the norms, you have the morals, you have the folkways. All of these ultimately will influence how we perceive ourselves, if we are living in line with the standard of the society, how we perceive others. Are they conformist or are they deviant? And ultimately, we can use this social institution to challenge inequality or perpetuate inequalities, depending on what we want to do. So therefore, it's important for us to understand how social institutions work, how they shape social norms and the values in our society. The essence of that is to ensure that we can have inclusive society, a society where there is social justice and sustainable development. Still talking about social institutions, there are quite a number of them, example of common social institutions, and we'll look at a few of them, I think 6 of them today. We're looking at family, looking at religion, looking at education, looking at government, looking at the economy. The bottom line is this: if you look at the family, for instance, it is a social institution that plays a major role in the socialization of children. The first agent of socialization is the family. And this is a pivotal role that the family plays in ensuring that members of the society are socialized, are given the opportunity to inculcate the values that are acceptable in the society. The children in the family will learn the social norms, the values, social expectation about their gender, about their race, about their ethnicity, about their religion, about what can be done and what cannot be done. It is against this backdrop you can see a child and say, oh, this is a well brought up child. In the Yoruba parlance, they say Omoluabi. If it's not the right person, maybe he's not behaving the way they expected, you say this is not a good child, or he has not lived according to the expectation of the society, and therefore is seen to be a deviant. A few scholars also have defined social institution, and I'll just run through a few of them. According to ACE, it talks about social institution as being a set of activities which a society adopts as its accepted mode of attaining deliberately approved goals or ends. Every society must put in place its own acceptable, its own patterns of behavior. If you want to achieve these goals, these are the means you need to achieve the goals. Every society puts that in place, and that therefore means it cannot be same for every society. Another definition of social institution has been given to be established forms or condition or procedure, characteristics of group activity. For those of us from this part of the world, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, this is the way we like to live our life. Our family will be structured in this way. Our economy will be structured in this way. That is our own specific, our own established pattern, our own conditions, our own procedure. It might be different, and most importantly, they're often different from other people's ways and means and condition and procedure, because it is characteristic, it is also peculiar to these people. What we're saying essentially is therefore that social institutions are vital, they're important, they are a function of a cluster of mores and folkways, and they end up controlling, ensuring that they can manage the control and the utilization of social energy, social action. It helps to galvanize the different efforts of individuals that are scattered everywhere. You put everybody under a framework. You have a system you put in place. This is the pattern. This is the framework. If you were to live in this part of the world, these are the things expected of you. So as individual members of that society, you ensure that you conform to the best of your ability to some of these standards. So now we'll be talking about some types of social institution: the family, kinship, and marriage. What is the role of the family? The family essentially is charged with the bearing and bringing up the socialization of children and members of the society. Like I said earlier on, it is a primary agent of socialization. It helps in the socialization of members of the society. It also helps in the formation of character. The family, especially traditional family system, will be father, mother, and the children. But in Africa, you know, we talk about the extended family system. But you also go to developed society, you also have cases of other forms of families, where you talk about same-sex family and all of those things. That shows things have changed, social change that happened. Let's look at education. It is about the development of human capital, the promotion of manpower, and the opportunity given to individuals to realize their full potentials in the society. That is what the educational sector tries to do. It helps to inculcate values in individuals. It helps to teach them what are the ways to get skills that they need, either in the formal or in the informal or the non-formal sector. Essentially empowering citizens to have what it takes to take care of themselves and be in a position to render help or assistance to others. Let's look at the economy. It covers the production, the exchange, and consumption in the society. It also talks about the private ownership of property. Who has what? Who can earn what? Who can have access to what? In some society, the gender role or the gender discrimination plays a role where girls or women are not allowed to inherit property. So that talks about changes that happen in terms of what is allowed in the economy and otherwise. Politics and government. Politics is about power, it's about ability to influence others, it's about control, it's about management, exercise of authority. How do you do it? How do you bring about succession? Who gets to be in charge? Who gets to be the one that will be in charge after the person that is currently in there? The general political administrative management of the society is under the instrument of the state and all the apparatus that the state has. The state has the power to bring about law and order. The state has the power to enforce and ensure conformity. So you look at that also, is a major social institution. Health and medicine, this covers how the values of the societies are used to promote the well-being of individual. You and I know that health is not just the absence of disease or sickness or illness. It's also it's about physical, it's about emotional, it's about social, it's also about spiritual well-being. So the value that are associated with well-being, the value that are associated with taking care of sick person, who is expected to take care of the sick person? Women or men, most likely women in most society, especially in patriarchal society. What are the ethics or what are the norms that are attached to the practice of medicine? In traditional African society, we have herbs, we have roots, and we have leaves that people use to bring about wholeness to people that are sick. But in modern society, you have orthodox medicine, which prescribes other forms of medication. But today, there's a transition where we are trying to integrate both the orthodox as well as the alternative traditional medicine in such a way that we can have options given to people. So the health dimension or institution tries to cover the physical as well as the non-physical aspect of securing good health for members of the society. They believe in the supernatural. They believe in the worship and control. That is religion. We all believe in the supernatural. We believe in God. We believe in supreme being. We believe that God has the power to change situations and circumstances. And more importantly, we also worship, and this affects the way we look at life. Some will tell you God is ultimate. For Africans, we also have the supreme being Eledumare among the Yorubas, and then we also have smaller gods, the deities, that also worship as intermediaries between man and God. So all of this will determine how we go in terms of how we look at life. So I've talked about family as an institution in terms of what are the things allowed, emphasis, and all of that. Let me just say that there's a book I would like us to read. Hello? So there's a book, Sociology for Beginners. It's very important. I will expect us to read the chapter on social institution in that book. It will help a lot to put some of these things in proper perspective. They just took light in FSS. I hope you can still hear me. So the family as an institution.
Yes,
okay,
great.
Great. So let's make progress. So the family as an institution has played some of the role, emotional role, practical role, and support. And like I told us earlier on, family now sees itself as important in bringing about the molding of characters, the character of the children and all the persons associated with it. So what have been the change that are taking place in the family? We now have situation where you have all forms of family now happening, same-sex family and all of that. Education. One primary reason for education is to bring about the transmission of knowledge and skills. Over the years, if you are to learn to be a farmer, your father may be a farmer, you automatically become a farmer. But today, people are coming to schools to learn, even professions that have never been learned in their family before. So you can see there's not diversity in terms of accessing education. You can do online, you can do ODL, open and distance learning, you can do physical classes. There are several ways around this, clearly telling us that education also has changed in terms of how do you get access to education, who teaches in schools, no longer your parents teaching you alone. Now, other agents of socialization are involved, your teachers, your lecturers, your classmates, your peers. They are all forms of, these are people that give you different forms of education. And it is important to bear this in mind. Economic system or economic institution, This talks about the intricate system and processes that govern production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. Its impact on individual and communities very, very immense and very enormous. You and I will say that things are happening in the economy in such a way that we're all feeling the impact today. Inflation, high cost of living, and to what extent can we say, in the past you have trade by barter. I have 2 bags of yam, I need palm nut, I'll go and exchange 2 bags of yam with somebody that has palm nut. Today, it's about currency. You have the currency to buy things you need to buy. And in the past, you don't need money, just needed to just exchange. But now we're even going beyond using currency to now do online transaction, and things are changing really very fast. Then it talks about government institution. The government is responsible for ensuring law and orders in society. It is meant to ensure that it manages resources of the state for the good of all. That is the role of the state. That is the role of government. That is the role of politics. People in political authority, they are supposed to ensure that they ensure the norms and the laws and policies are for the good of all. But today, what do we have? We have leaders that are not representing the people they are leading. In terms of health and medicine, like I said earlier, to be healthy is a condition of being sound in your body, in your mind, and in your spirit. Some people can be sound in the body, but physically, yes. But in terms of their mind, in terms of their spirit, they may have a challenge. And that's why you see that people say, oh, they are sound all around. So this is important for us to bear in mind. And it's always good that health is not just about biological or physical problem. Health is more than biological phenomenon. Why? It has consequences for other aspects of people's life. It affects the caregiver. It affects the person that is sick. It affects the resources that is available to be used for other purposes. If somebody is sick, that person is not thinking of work. That person cannot be productive. That person will not be able to discharge his or her own social roles. Why? That person is sick. The implication of health therefore means it has financial cost. It also leads to loss of manpower, because somebody that is sick is in the hospital. He cannot work at that material point in time. That sick person also will have somebody that is taking care of him or her. So the time spent in taking care of this sick person has also been lost. So it's something that is all evolving. In the past, when you are sick, your family member will be there to take care of you. Now you have caregivers that are paid to do that. You have nurses in formal institutions like hospitals. So telling us that things are evolving and things are changing. But the truth of the matter is, we can clearly see that in terms of health, it is an institution in its own right. But if you look at it with vis-a-vis some of the integration of orthodox and traditional medicine, you can see there's a serious development movement that we have had in that area, meaning that there are procedures that have been put in place to train, there are management systems that have been put in place to take care of people, and ultimately it shows that there are deliberate rules and uniform rules for that matter. For instance, if you are to see a medical doctor in the General Hospital in Lagos State, if you are to see another medical doctor, maybe somewhere outside Lagos, maybe in the north or in the east or south, you're likely to have same diagnosis or same prescription or similar. Why? They had gone through the same gamut of education. It's a function of the same uniform education that they've had, and therefore they will likely perform or assess such institutional basis in a way that if somebody say you have malaria, he won't tell you to go and treat something else, because they've been properly trained to be able to do the right thing. So health institution therefore has a body of standard of practice which are to be respected. They have rules of consistency over time, and the quality can be compared in time and in place. Most people will get the same prescription or similar prescription if you are to see a medical doctor for similar disease. So that tells you a level of consistency and comparability of quality of service. When we're talking about religious institution, it's an interesting place because it gives us the moral framework for individuals and community. It tends to reinforce our belief in higher power, in the supreme being. We are people of faith in Africa, and we believe in the supreme being. This religious institution therefore strengthens our values in terms of being compassionate, in terms of being charitable, in terms of exhibiting forgiveness, because you say, if I forgive somebody, God forgives me. If I'm compassionate, some other people will be compassionate to me. If I show love, charity to people, then I also reap the same thing. It's about the law of karma. What you sow is what you reap. This practice, this belief, these processes that we have put in place affect our interpersonal relationship, accept some of the norms, affect some of the norms in the society, and a great part of our traditional gender roles are function of religion. Look at the two major faiths, even the traditional faith, the traditional religion, you find out that there's this idea of women that should be submissive. A virtuous woman is a woman that does all that the man or the family members desire. And that tells you that if people hold on to these traditional gender rules, women rights sometimes might be taken away because there is no belief in the gender equality concept, and that also brings to the fore the importance of change that happened. Today, you have independent women. You have independent women, empowered women, educated women that can, to a greater extent, assist to change some of these traditional gender rules. And you have also, in terms of religion, syncretism. Syncretism basically means you are blending religions that are conflicting. You hear of African church. The truth of the matter is African traditional religion has little or nothing to do with church, because the church is based on the tenets of the Bible. Hello, please mute yourself. You are disturbing this class. Mute yourself. So you have African church, for instance. You wonder, how do we have African church? African church is a function of blending or mixing, combining African culture, norms, belief system with Christianity. And that shows things that have changed. In the Bible, I said, no, we're just African, and we believe in the gods, and we believe in those Ogun and Oya and all of those. Therefore, we don't believe in Christianity. But now there's a transition where people are embracing Christianity, but it has its own toga of Africanness. They have put a bit of African values and culture in their belief system. What are the functions of social institutions? They serve several functions, and some of them we talked about earlier on. They help us in the achievement of specified objectives. If you want to have a society move in a particular direction, what do you need to do? Just put institutions in place and they will do the job. It also helps people to conform to social norms, the legal processes, obligation, enactment, policies, and programs. Social institutions also are means of social control and regulation of people's action. Because the institution in place, people tend to behave and conform to the standards of the society. In the provision of food, economy has helped us to have that done. In shelter and other goods and services, that also has been done by social institutions. In maintenance of law and order and social order in the society, government is doing that for us. In promoting belief in the supernatural, in the worship, in the spiritual upliftment and sustenance of belief in supreme being, religion has done that for us. In promoting socialization and manpower training, education and family is doing that for us. In promoting the replacement of human species, the family is doing that. And lastly, the provision of healthcare services and healing processes for those that are sick in the family or in the community, health institution is doing this for us. So let's look at the importance of social institutions. We've looked at their functions, and we're then looking how important can it be. This This is important because when you look at the social function performed by this social institution, this importance had led to the development and establishment of dependable permanent structures and processes for the continued provision of this function. In the past, these functions were performed maybe haphazardly, but as time evolved and society evolved also, then there was this necessity to establish important, permanent, and dependable structures and processes that can help in the continuation of the provision of this function. And these processes and structures are called social institutions, which are very central to society as well, very central to our lives as individuals and the life of the society as well. So the extent and degree to which we are organized and effective is a function of the function of the social institution. If the social institution are doing their job as expected and they were well structured, they will be effective, they will be organized, they will be well established. In the process, the society will be in a position to experience growth as well as development. Therefore, social institutions assist to satisfy social needs, meet interest in the society, and take care of the necessity that have been found in the society. If society is to exist and continue to experience orderliness, stability, growth, purposeful development, therefore it must put in place systems and structures called social institution. Why? This institution help to perform or deliver basic social functions. If they are not in place, some of these functions will not be performed. Imagine that we do not have families. Imagine that we do not have government. There will be a state of chaos. There will be confusion. Everybody will just do about anything. There's no control. Nobody is in charge. Imagine we don't have the economic system or institution. How do you meet your basic needs? So all of these help us to perform and deliver basic social function. And it is important to understand it. And for us as sociologists, they are of importance to us because the meanings of the institution, the functions of this institution, the relevance, importance of this institution, and more importantly, the dynamics, the way they change, all are important to us. And they have helped over the years to challenge us to look at life and look at society in different ways. Now we're going to social change, which I defined earlier on to be transformation over time in the social structure, culture, and function of a place. So if you're talking about social change, the changes in one institution has the ability to have ripple effect that will affect other institutions. This is very important. Change in one institution can affect other institutions. Let's look at for instance, a change in the economic institution. In the past was about agricultural production, agrarian society, and because of that, family needed to have large size of people, so they can be labor that can be used to take care of the farms. But now, with industrialization, you don't need so many people to do the job because there are equipment that can actually do so much more than what individual can do. In the process, you can see that change that happened in the economic institution, that change that happened in the economic institution eventually led to changes in the family institution. So you don't need to have so many children now because you really don't need them to be on the farm to work for you. Even if you look at the healthcare facility or healthcare provision, in the past, children used to die, just any sickness will lead to infant mortality. But with development and technology breakthrough in health, You now have children having vaccination, they have immunization and all of that. So children can now live beyond the years they will have died, maybe before 5, before 10 or 12. So because now you have more children surviving childhood, you don't need to have so many children because you are not too sure how many of them will survive. So you can see now the change that we have noticed in the economic institution had brought about change in the family. The positive change in the health sector or in the health institution also have brought about a change in the family. It could also bring about change in other aspects of the society. So what we're essentially saying is this: social change is happening. Change is inevitable. No society has remained the same. But the truth of the matter is we should never take social change for granted. We need to understand it. Yes, it's inevitable. Is that all about it? No. We need to also go beyond just understanding the fact that change will always happen in society, which is social change. But we look at these changes in terms of how human interaction and relationships are transformed, and cultural and social institutions are also transformed. Some of these changes happen over time, and sometimes they have profound impact, consequences for the society. I mentioned the issue of movement of rights. You see people talk about the rights of individuals. In the past, women were not allowed to vote. Now women are allowed to vote. Women are allowed to own property. These are things that have changed. Workers' rights. In the past, workers were treated as slaves. Now they have ILO, they have different labor organizations advocating, advancing the interests and the right of workers. Women's rights, workers' rights, civil rights, fundamental human rights. These are things that were alien to society before now. But today, all of these are in the public space and people are agitating for their rights to be respected. Clearly, social institutions have changed, even as the society itself has changed. As society changes, the social institution will not remain the same as well. How do we bring about social change? Social change oftentimes happens by reason of collective behavior and social movement. These are the two forces driving social change: collective behavior and social movements. And there are a number of factors that have been found to change the narrative, to bring about a destructive shift in the status quo. Status quo is what is currently in place. If people are dissatisfied with what is on ground, people are likely to move, galvanize, organize, and move against such status quo. And sometimes it could be intentional. It could just be spontaneous. It should be something at random. People just come together and that will be it. So there are several ways social change can happen, and a few of them will be looked at now. What are the causes of social change? Technology can influence social change in a number of ways. Once there's an improvement in the technological development in the society or aspect in the society, there will be change automatically. In the past, there was IBM typewriter that everybody used, but today, all of us have PC, laptops, and all of that. Also, changes that happen in social institutions. Like I explained earlier on, change in one single institution can lead to changes in other social institutions, i.e., look at changes in technology has affected education. It has affected economic activities. Changes in population. Every society will change over time in terms of birth, in terms of death, and migration. So when you look at demographic transition, you are looking at death and birth. If more people are surviving because of improved medical care, improved healthcare services, it also means that less people are dying. So that means you can have a change in society. In some society, they are very old. Asian society go there, quite a number of the people there are in their 50s, in their 60s. In some other society, because the life expectancy is very short, you have younger population, like in Africa. is a very young population. We have youth population bulge. So these are things that are happening and they can bring about change in the society. The fourth cause of change is the environment. Individuals and the environment interact and they can affect each other. Woman population interaction with the environment can increase vulnerability or brings about negative or positive impact. Imagine people that live in disaster-prone area. What happened to such individual? They are likely to be vulnerable. And when they are vulnerable, means they are likely to have untimely death or all of the challenges that happen there. So what we're essentially saying that some of these causes of change or social change can operate alone or they can operate in combination with one others to bring about social change. So causes of social change are 4 of them. You think about technology, talking about social institution, population, and lastly, the environment. I'll now look at impact of social change on institution. What are the impact of social change on social institution? We have talked about the interaction between social change and social institution. Change in one institution can affect other institutions, and change in institution can bring about change in the society, which otherwise seen as social change. The first thing as one of the impacts of social change on institution is modification of roles and function. Modification of roles and function. Social change has brought about modification of the roles and function of social institution. Before internet, the digital world, ICT, education was one-on-one, like I told us. But today, introduction of online learning and digital resources, you can actually get certification online without leaving your office or leaving your house. There are people that have gotten certificate from MIT, from Harvard, from just any of the university of interest. Why? Because of internet access to the rest of the world. Change in norms and value. As society evolves, you find out that social change also brings about shift in norms and values. In the past, if you were to marry a young woman or a young man, the families will meet and decide and say, oh, we have found a boy or a girl and we feel this will happen. They will have concluded. The guy has no clue who to marry. It is on the day of the wedding that he sees the wife or you will see the wife for the first time. But today, most time, the couple to be, the young people will have decided how they want to do their wedding, everything. It's just a matter of informing their parents. This is where we're going. And of course, all of us are here. We notice what is happening in Tanzania. Who would have thought that the bride's family will go and meet the husband in the family? You know, things are changing rapidly. The norms and the value, they are all changing. The truth of the matter is, all of these changes will affect the rules and the regulation of social institutions. It will also affect our attitude. Gender roles will change. We are now more inclusive. We are more tolerant. We are more accommodating in terms of how things should be done, who can do what and who cannot do what, because change has happened. Apart from modification, social change can also bring about creation of new institutions. This change can bring about a springing forth of institutions that never existed before. Look at social media. In the past, if you wanted to get news, what do? You go and buy a newspaper, or you listen to radio, or you watch TV. Now, you don't need to go anywhere. You can get everything you need to get just on the internet. So this social media platform has provided another source of information, ICT, which is a very good example of things like an institution that happened that we never saw it coming. With the creation of new institution, there's also the dissolution of old institution. With the creation of new institution, there's the dissolution of old institution. So social change can also bring about the dissolution of old institution. The example of media that I mentioned earlier on, I remember when last people would say, oh, they are going to buy a newspaper or do calendar. So people will tell you they don't even wear wristwatches because they have a mobile phone that gives them an idea of the time. People don't wear wristwatches, people don't buy calendar, people don't buy newspaper like they used to buy in the past. Why? You can have access all of this on the digital space. So that tells you the old institution might be overtaken by reason of things changing so rapidly, and the society itself is dynamic, and it will now what? Take over that. The fifth impact of social change on institution is the change in the power dynamics. In every society, power is at work. Who controls resources? Who controls allocation? Who is in charge? Social change has altered and will continue to alter the power dynamics within society and between social institutions. Look at the feminist movement. They have come to challenge some of these patriarchal structures in various institutions. In the past, you now have thought a woman can be a president. In some countries, even Liberia, a woman has become a president. In some institutions, you thought, oh no, women cannot be here. These are changing. In some places where you thought men could not be, men are nurses, men are cooks. These are things that are changing. The patriarchal structure, the traditional roles of genders, the traditional gender roles are changing because of social change. That shows the dynamics, the change in power dynamics. In the past, men were the breadwinners. Now women are earning. Some men are even saying their wives are even, there was a man jokingly on a lighter mode that says something, the guy worked in this system and he told me the wife just got a job and the wife's salary is ×2 of his own salary. And he jokingly told the wife, I said, Madam, I have given you the head of household. You are the head of this household now. I will be your supporter. And he just laughed about it. He said, look, what she's bringing is more than what I bring in. And at the end of the day, he's supposed to be the breadwinner. We just laughed about it, but he just pointed out the point that in the past will have become an aberration. You cannot say that. Yes, I'm the head, even if I don't have money. But now things are changing. The power dynamics is changing. Now you have the feminists saying that the patriarchal structure, the tradition should be looked into, that women also are human beings because they have rights as men. So these are just summation of what I talked about. Let me look at two examples that I looked at in terms of institutional bias. One impact of social change is that it can bring about institutional bias. When you're talking about institutional bias, that is, an institution can be biased towards some individuals in the society. Look at the instance of education. Inadvertently, sometimes policies are made and they work against some group of members of the society. It's not intentional. In sociology, we talk about manifest and latent function. The manifest is to be able to have everybody educated, but latently, there are also undercurrents that have not been captured. So for instance, you have education that is for low-income student or student of color. You just say, oh, these people, oh, let's give them this kind of education. Or you have healthcare that brings about disparity. Who can access in terms of income? Being accessible is not the same thing as being affordable. Sometimes healthcare services can be accessible, but may not be affordable because people don't have enough empowerment to be able to have access to that. So in conclusion, social change has profound impact on social institutions. How? It has altered and will continue to alter structure, function, and relevance in the society. It is therefore important for us to note that social change and social institutions, they influence each other. It's a two-way process. As social institutions also influence social change. Social change influences social institution. Social institution also brings about social change. I think some people are trying to come in, but okay, moving forward. I just talked about the impact of social change, and this is just a little table to try to give us an idea of what social change has done. For instance, look at modification of roles and function. Now you have online learning in education, changes in norms and value. You have more inclusive policy in the workplace that's been adapted to take on the changing gender roles. When we look at creation of new institution, we talk about social media platform, which we never saw coming, but now we live with it. If talking about the dissolution of old institutions, look at the decline in the use of traditional newspapers and magazines and other traditional means of getting news. Then look at change in power dynamics, the challenge, the patriarchal structures by the feminist movement, where women and men are given equal rights because of gender equality. So I'll look at social movement now. I'm getting close to the end of the presentation and the discussion. So we're looking at social movements. And when we're talking about social movement, we're talking about purposeful, organized groups that have definite objective or mission. Social movements are purposeful, organized groups striving to work to get a common goal achieved. They have a goal set for themselves. They have a purpose. They are organized. They are not haphazard. They are not scattered. They are not spontaneous people that just come together and just like protest or mob. No, social movements are more intentional, deliberate, purposeful, organized, but they have a purpose. They work towards a vision, an objective, or a goal, a common goal that kind of unify all of the members in that society or in that group. And of course, in Nigeria, we've been fortunate to have had a few of that. You have the NSAS and bad government, even though it's a bit not too standard. If you look at Arab Spring, that one is also there. Occupy Nigeria, where people go together, some CSO, civil society organization, and women rights organization, activists, felt things were not working the way they expected, and based on that, they mobilize, they galvanize, they try to organize Nigerians, especially youth, to support their agenda, to support the common goal of bringing about a change in the society. So most of this movement is set out to provide a political voice to those otherwise voiceless. They are disenfranchised. Some people don't even know their rights. It's when somebody comes and says, don't you know this is your right? They say, well, really? But you know, these people, they are too powerful. Don't worry, we'll represent you. And that's why we have civil rights activists. They are there to advance and promote the rights of the vulnerable, the people that are voiceless, the disenfranchised in the society. Their plan essentially is to develop themselves and ensure they have a shift in the society to meet the changing needs of the society. What they try to bring about is a change. Social movement want to bring about a change, especially positive change. They want the society to be for all, to be a society that is all-inclusive. And throughout history, they have found that social movements have influenced social change. They have brought about social change. They have brought about societal shift. Things ordinarily would have not moved of change if not people that were there to ask for a change from the status quo. That is, there must be some people that will have an understanding to say, this is not where we ought to be. If we do not ask for it, it will not be given to us. As sociologists, this social movement has been looked at from different lenses, but I will focus on just 3 lenses today. The first one is to look at it from the functionalist perspective. The functionalist perspective. A bit of background about the functionalists. The functionalists basically believe that every function or every system or every organ, every unit in the society, every system has some function that it performs. And these functions essentially will help in the stability of that society. So the functionalist perspective look at the bigger picture. They're not looking at social movement alone. They're looking at the social movement in line with what does it do for the society? What does it ultimately bring to the table? It focuses on ways all other aspects of the society are all integrated to bring about a support for the continued health and the viability of the society. It focuses on all aspects. It's not just that social movement now. Yes, social movement is happening, but how does it affect the rest of the society? What role does it perform? What function does it bring to the table? What are the things that it has done? What are the things cannot be done? So the focus is why social movement develop. If there are no need for them, if they don't have a need in the society, social movement will not have developed. So they focus on why do we have social movement? How did they develop? Why did they develop? Do they have a reason? The answer is yes, they have a reason. So if they have a reason for developing, therefore they are having a function to perform in society. They now go further to say, if this social movement have reason to develop, then we need to ask, why have they continued to exist? You know, something can develop, emerge, and not survive, and not exist beyond a period of time. So they look at why social movement develop, why social movement continue to exist. If they continue to exist, it means they are serving a function. More importantly, they also interrogate what social purposes the social movement serve. Social movements are important because they have developed. They are important because they have continued to exist. And more importantly, they have social purposes and function they are serving. So social movement emerge because there's a dysfunction in the society. There's a dysfunction in the relationship or interaction between or among systems. Things are not working the way they should work. There's a dysfunction. Therefore, social movement have come in to bring about a stability, to bring about a change, and that change will stabilize the society. The social movement have come to change the situation. They change their goals, they change their aim, and once they meet the aim they set initially, ab initio, what happened to them? They will revolve. For instance, if you are moved to say, okay, we want to move to ask for polio immunization for children, and that is what brought about that social movement. Once there's an introduction of effective vaccination system, you cannot continue to still ask for what is already in existence. What do? You either you change your aim or change your focus, or you change what you are agitating or asking for. Sometimes you can ask, okay, now that you have this vaccination in place for children, we have had a drop in polio infection. What do we now ask? Let's ask for another thing related to health, or let's ask something else related to manpower. If you are not able to do that transition as a social movement group, what happened? It risks dissolution. It will no longer be relevant because there's no purpose for it. That is where the functionalist look at it. The critical perspective has a different opinion. It believes that the focus should not just be on the social movement. It believes that the social change that has been brought about by the social movement is constant. Like we said earlier on, social change is inevitable, it's unavoidable, it's speedy, it's constant. So the social movement are generated through systematic inequality that look at the society. Are you sure this is where society should be? If the society is properly structured and everybody's right is respected, everybody feels a sense of belonging, then social movement may not have even evolved. But the mere fact there is inherent conflict in the social system, in the social relation, this same inherent conflict will bring about social change, will bring about social movement, because there will be people that will be left behind. Those that are left behind, that are disenfranchised, the people that are left behind that feel disillusioned, that feel that they are not part of the mainstream, they will agitate, they will make a move to ask for them to be integrated or mainstream into the society. So this brings about social change or social movement, as the case may be. So the critical perspective is about the conflict. They look at the society in a critical manner. Are you meeting the needs, aspiration of others? It's like an opposite of functionalist perspective that believe that the society, it has a function, is okay the way it is. If there's a spring forth of a social movement, it's because there's a dysfunction. And this social movement, once it's able to agitate and there's a balance and a social equilibrium, everybody should just go back to the way things are. Status quo maintained. But the critical perspective is having a different opinion to say that this is something that will always be there because it is inherent, it is inborn, it is in the society. The way the society is structured, it is unequal. There are people that have and there are people that do not have. The haves and the have-not will always have conflict, will always confront themselves. And this conflict and confrontation will continue. There's nothing anybody can do about it. So the social movement will be part and parcel of our day-to-day lives. The symbolic interactionalist perspective. This look at life slightly different for us in sociology. When talking about symbolic interactionalism, you are saying that interaction of individual vis-a-vis the symbols is a function of the meanings attached to it. That is, those involved in social movement, they have meanings, they are attached to their involvement in that movement. These individuals also have an experience of social change they want to have. And it's the day-to-day interaction of this social movement that will be of interest to us. The emphasis will not be, what are the social movement norms? What are their tactics or methods or strategies? And more importantly, what are the individual motivations for joining the movement? There are several reasons for joining the social movement. Some individuals might just feel a sense of deprivation and discontent. Oh, we feel marginalized. Therefore, I support the social movement, will be part of it. They can resonate. The argument or the campaign, the advocacy of the social movement groups may resonate with some people because they have experienced some form of marginalization or deprivation. Therefore, they can understand. And then, based on that understanding, a feeling of deprivation, they join the movement. There are people that will join the social movement for other reasons beyond that cause. They don't even understand the cause. They don't know what they are agitating for, but they know somebody in that group they like. They know celebrity, they know activists, they know people that they like to be in the good book of, or people they like to support because they want to be part of something new. I was also there. Look at EndSARS in 2020 when people were protesting. Because some celebrity were there. Free food was flying, water was flying. People were there to do what? To eat food, some to steal, some to do other things. But people have different reasons, essentially, why they join the social movement. So that's the perspective of the symbolic interaction perspective. So social movement and social change, they are close, they are related, and they affect how things evolve in a society. This is a picture of people protesting in some wonderful part of the world, meaning that it's not just something that is limited to any part, it's everywhere. Once rights of individuals are infringed or violated, they are likely to go out there, carry placard of they need their voice to be heard. So what are the levels of social movement? It can operate at different levels. It can be at your town hall, at your town village setting, even though it's very rare in the town, most likely. It can be in a nation. It can be all over the world, spontaneously. So it can move from being local to be global. Social movement can be local, that is something that is peculiar to some particular part of the world, and it could be global to be what everybody can connect with. And with modern technology now, you can see that everybody can actually stream their quest for change around the world. Once Nigeria had the protests we would normally have, NVAD governance or EndSARS or whatever, or those times when the NSC used to go out there protesting and all of that, everywhere in the world will get to have feats of this thing happening in Nigeria. And they go, oh, Nigeria is boiling, this is happening in Nigeria. Or for those of you that were born in 1993, when the June 12 election was annulled, Nigeria went to the road, they went to the street. During the military era, there was protests everywhere. People were agitating and asking for the military to go back to the barracks so that the civilians can get back to be in politics as they are expected to be. So highlights of all of that we've discussed today as a social movement and social change is the fact that social movements are considered the primary mechanism for bringing about social change. Social movements are considered primary mechanism for bringing about social change. How? They mobilize people to collectively advocate for a change of specific issue or specific goal or specific problem in the society. So it's about relationship. The second one is you have several examples of social movement We've talked about the women's rights, talking about civil rights, talking about women's suffrage movement, when women weren't allowed to vote. Some people went and said, women must be allowed to vote because they are human beings as well. You also have the environmental movement, the climate change advocates, and all of that. Of course, the LBQ, wonderful set of people, they also claim to have the rights, and there's a movement for that. So how does social change occur? How does it occur? Social change can occur through protest. People can be on the street for long, and they'll tell you, if you don't listen to us, we're not going to leave the streets. Lobbying, you go in there and lobby, and that happens a lot in developed society. In terms of education, you can do educational campaign, providing public awareness, letting people know what are the benefits of this movement and the change that they are desirous. Or you can go to court, not Nigerian context of go to court and you don't get justice. In the real sense of the word, when you go to court and the court rules in your favor, the system, the government has no choice than to change the situation. Let me give an example of legal ruling or challenge. There was a case of some ladies from the eastern part of Nigeria, KG girls. They were all girls and the father died. And the family member felt because they are girls, they would not have right to inherit from their father because it was a patriarchal society. And these girls went to court, from the High Court to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court ruled in their favor that they have right to inherit their father's property. And that was a change, different from what it used to be, where girls were not allowed, women were not allowed to inherit. But now a court ruling had come. I know it's a different ball game. About tradition that will take a while, cultural lag will happen. But the truth of the matter is, based on the legal pronouncement and judgment, there's a change. With time, things will evolve and we'll get to a point where both men and women can actually inherit. What are the factors that can influence social change? Opinion of people. When a significant proportion of the population support a cause, it can bring about a change. Why? Because of that massive support, there will be a lot of pressure put on the government, on the authority to bring about a change. Look at what happened in EndSARS. It was dismantled because the young ones came out, the youth came out and said, we do not want EndSARS. They are killing us. So bad governance, not much had happened, but at least some concession happened during that period. Political climate. Once the political landscape support the movement, social movement. For instance, now, when Nigeria said they were going out against bad governance, everybody could connect because things were difficult. That was environment that was supportive. The landscape was supportive of that movement. Or you have a general election that is forthcoming. Nobody want to lose an election. In Kenya, the young people came out and they said, oh, give us this concession, and eventually had to do that. So once there's a social movement, a protest around general election, that can get the attention of those in power because they don't want anything to affect their victory at the polls. So that is also another factor that influences social change. And the last one is media attention. Anything you do and that is not covered, or it's not beyond where you've done it, you can just die there. But once it can get to the media, especially social media now, it can bring about a change. Look at the situation that happened, I think, in Ifo, of a traditional ruler that was abusing, molesting, and violating the rights of an older person. If that thing had happened without any recording, or any recording going to the media, social media for that matter, maybe the man would have just gone scot-free. But here we are, because that thing escaped and got to the social media, it got to the government, it got to people that matter, and today, there has been a change in that area. So change can happen in different ways, in different places. The most important thing is, what are the factors driving this change? So I'll look at types of social movement. What are the types of social movement? I think there are 5 of them I looked at. What are the types of social movement? Sociologist David Abele, 1960, developed this categorization. And that's basically to try to distinguish social movement based on what they want to change and how much change they want. What do they want to change and how much change do they want? The first one is a reform movement. This one just want to change something specific about the structure. It is not a total, holistic, comprehensive change. just an aspect of the society. They don't want this. For instance, the movement against nuclear war or nuclear weapon, or mothers against drunk driving, is an aspect of the social life of the society, social life of the people, an aspect of the social structure. They just want to change that part, and that's what they're interested in. Not everywhere. A reform movement seek to change something specific about the social structure. The second one is a revolutionary movement. This is more daring. It's a radical movement. They seek to completely change every aspect of the society. It's an overhaul. They want total overhaul. They don't just want piecemeal. They don't want cosmetic. They just don't want change in one part and leave the rest. Everything must go. That is revolutionary movement. The concept is to change everything. They want to transform everything, not take something a time at a go. Then the third one is the redemptive movement. These are movements that are put in place to seek meaning seeking, and their goal is basically to bring about inner change or spiritual growth in individual. So redemption is a strong word there. Meaning making, meaning seeking. They seek meaning to bring about some changing, that if this is done, then some people will be redeemed. Look at the Association of Alcoholics Anonymous or Christian fundamental groups. They believe that if some of these values they are agitating for or promoting or advocating can be imbibed, inculcated, then some people will be saved. Some people will have inner change. Some people will have spiritual growth. So that is their own focus. So their movement is basically to bring about inner change and spiritual growth in individual. It's also selective. It's not all encompassing. It is to take care of something they have found to be important to them and that can bring about meaning to people's life. The fourth is alternative movement. This try to focus on self-improvement and is a bit limited. The specific change will be on individual beliefs and behavior. For instance, women that have several children, and of course, the more children you have, you are likely to be at risk of death, maternal mortality. So there's a Planned Parenthood that tries to bring about changes in individual beliefs. You don't need so many children. If you have few children, take care of them, they will be fine. So they bring about self-improvement and specific change in people's beliefs and people's behavior. So you now have more women going for family planning and all of that to take care of that aspect. So it's alternative. Instead of having large family size, you can take care of them. So much poverty. So you can have few children and you can take care of them. That does also not mean you don't have action in the other room. It means that you can prevent, you have an alternative to it. You can have a way around this. Then also the resistance movement. This one tries to prevent or bring about a change to the social structure. They want to prevent or bring about a change to the social structure. And for instance, look at the pro-life movement. The pro-life means you cannot commit abortion. Your life is involved. A fetus is a child, is life. You cannot do that. So they bring about a consistent pressure against what is maybe common or what is generally acceptable. So they want to prevent the quest or the desire of the society to go in a particular way. So they try to undo some of the things that can bring about a change in the social structure. So these are some picture, women for vote for women. That was some of the way they tried to bring about women right to vote. There was a time in some 1920, 20 something, I think 1925 or 29 that women started voting even in the US. You also have the Black Lives Matters. That's the celebrated Martin Luther King in the middle there, asking for the right of blacks to be respected in the US. So what are the stages of social movement? There are 4 stages. What are the stages of social movement? There is the first stage of the preliminary stage. At this stage, people are aware of an issue. Everybody knows there's a problem. there's a thing they are looking at, there's a common goal, there's a common objective, and then a leader will emerge that will galvanize the people. That is the level of pre-military, preliminary stage. Preliminary means at the inception, you are just starting, you are just trying to clear the way. We are not yet there, but we are starting something. And those that believe in the cause, that believe in the goal, that believe in the vision will be part of it. The second stage is the coalescence stage, whereby people are coming together. They are organizing themselves. The issue are now becoming something in the public domain. Awareness is being created. More people are beginning to realize this is an issue that we should all support. It takes a while to get to this second stage. More people will now join, not the leaders now, not the visionary, not those that started the group in the initial stage. Now they are moving to the society. They are bringing more people to join this group. The first stage is the institutionalization stage. At this stage, the movement no longer requires the grassroots volunteers. They have gotten to a place where they are established. Now they have structure put in place. They have an institution. We talked about social institution earlier. They have a system put in place. They have procedure. They could even have paid staff that will be there in the office to respond to mails, to respond to inquiries, to get funding, to make budgets and all of that, because now it is a big deal. It is a thing that is bigger than even the visionary, those that started the movement in the first instance. And at this stage, they achieve so much if they want to achieve, because they have all it takes: the structure, the functions, the people, the personnel, the connection, and all that they required. And the fourth stage is people can fall away. The decline stage, people can fall away, they get tired. They could also adopt a new movement, like you talk about the polio. Once there's vaccination, that quest for polio immunization is no longer important. So you can adopt a new movement, or the movement can bring about the change that everyone desired. The movement could bring about the change everybody desired. Please, who is disturbing our class? Please mute yourself. Or the movement can bring about the change that everybody desires, or people no longer take the issue to be that serious, and therefore the movement falls into decline. Nobody is interested in what they're talking about. They're no longer as important as they were at the beginning. And so these stages of social movement is very important: the preliminary stage, the coalescence stage, the institutionalization stage, and last, the decline stage. So I actually should stop, but let me just run through 2 or 3 slides looking at consequences of social movement. Every social movement has consequences, some positive and some negative. And that's why it's important to harmonize and ensure that social movements, the government or people in leadership, have a way of meeting them halfway. That is, a conversation, negotiation, something must be done before the social movement gets to a point of no return. Because most of them, they have this psychological orientation. Most participants in social movement undergo a psychological orientation. They tend to think in a particular way based on what the leader is thinking. They tend to do whatever the leader tells them. I don't know if you've come across ideological group or people that belong to ideological movements. They think in a particular way that is not the way the rest of us think. There's no way you can suppress them. They will give you 1,001 reasons why they believe what they believe. It's like this Boko Haram, all of this hard fundamentalists. They believe strongly, and it's a dogma. A dogma is something that does not make sense to you, but it makes sense to them because they see things the way they want to see it. So the validity of their ideology is such that they believe so much in it. They believe so much in the wisdom of the leaders. Whatever decision their leaders have made, bad or good or bad, they believe in it, they support it. So their perception is not the same with every one of us. It's selective perception. When they are in this, they're difficult to have debate with, because they will never see things from a different perspective. They will never understand another premise. They will not understand another conversation. It is the way they see it, that it is the way it is. Even though the way they see it may not be the way it is really, but for them, it is the way it is. So that's why it's a dangerous place to leave people or advocate or participant in social movement without having a conversation, having an engagement with them, because the leaders have enormous power and they believe in them. Some of this ideology also may lead them to view government authorities as villains. They see governments, anything establishment, any pro-establishment is negative. They surrender, the surrender of the autonomy to alternative view is a no-no. So they don't have any alternative view. The view they have is a view of the leader. The wisdom of the leader is the best wisdom. No matter what any other person say, they don't believe in it. So whatever they do is a function of the movement ideology. Once they believe in that ideology of the movement, there's nothing anybody can do about it. So some of them, even the discipline of the movement is such that it gets to a point to change the social order cannot even be analyzed by failure or success. Even when they, in quote, we see them as failed, they'll tell you, no, they've not failed. The mere fact we have shaken them, the mere fact we have rattled them. No, the way they were talking. I don't want to mention a group that basically take care of this, but I don't want to do that. So essentially, when you're looking about failure or success, the way they look at it as participants in a social movement or loyalists of a social movement is totally different. We can say, oh, see yourself, you've not achieved what you want. They say, no, we achieved something. We got them this happened, that happened. Maybe we've not gotten the ultimate goal, but we did something. So the end product is always about the rest of them, the collective, are trying to change the social order. And that change of the social order might lead to success, might lead to failure. But the failure is also not seen as total failure. And for them, failure comes as a result of ruthless oppression. They say, if the government has allowed us, we will have brought down the government. So their failure is now being explained as a function of the ruthless suppression of the government. If the government had not done that, we will have achieved what we wanted to achieve. Or they can say, you see, why did we fail? The government showed the lie to the people that were part of us in the initial group, and therefore there's apathy, there's a widespread apathy, because there's no more people with us. That's why we have a challenge. So they tend to have a way to explain their difficulties or their so-called failure. In a successful revolution or social movement, becomes a new source of authority. So when they are successful as a social movement, what they will have is they have authority given to them. They have power given to them. They are now become a new source of authority and respectability in the society. They becomes opposition to the value that they had before now. And this is important. Every movement seeks to achieve power through secession. They want to achieve power by all means, by all standards. And that is one thing that social movement tries to do. So the reference I asked you to read is the one I put in last, and I think that's the last slide. There's a chapter in a book, Sociology for Beginners, 1999, Social Institution. At least more than 60% or so of what I've taught today will be found in that chapter. And of course, other ones are a function of some of the ideas I got from other materials. And if you are listening to the class, that should have helped a great deal. I'd like to say thank you for your time. I hope you gain one thing or the other. We're happy, less than 12, we're about 12 o'clock. If you have any question, please, you might just raise your hand so we can. If you have any question, please go ahead. Any question or comment that you want to give? I hope we followed. Okay, I'm seeing Michael Presido raise his hand. Please go ahead.
Good morning, please. I just want to ask that. How can we get this slide now for the class?
I just told you the reference I used. That book is going to help you. The slides are not going to be shared. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other person, please? Okay, David Mark. David Mark, please unmute yourself. Tani Toluwa Ojo. Unmute yourself one after the other. You can speak. Tani Toluwa, please unmute yourself.
I've unmuted myself. Now,
Okay,
please,
go ahead.
can you go back to the redemptive and alternative social movement? There's
What
a
do you want
question.
to learn? Huh?
I noticed some similarities, so I wanted to understand the difference between the two.
Between the alternative and the redemptive, they might
Yes,
have some similarity, but they are exactly not the same. Like I said, the alternative tried to say this is another way to achieve the same goal. The redemptive basically say this is a change in behavior that is desirous and important for individuals. So that's what that tries to do. One is redemption, the other is providing alternative. Alternative does not mean what is being done is bad, but for the redemptive, what is being done is bad. Do you understand?
yes, no.
Yeah, so that's the context.
I have a question.
Please go ahead.
In the movements, social movements and social institutions, are they the same thing?
No, please.
But there was a national youth movement in 1935, and it was also a political party. I'm confused. Was it a movement or an institution? How would we explain it?
Political party, it is not always, a political party could start as a movement, as a while, most of political party evolve over time. It could start as a movement, a pressure group. If you remember a bit of your government, it could start as a movement, as a political pressure group, and later on they will register to become political party. A social institution is different. Political party is actually specific and a bit peculiar to some people that have that vision about party. Look at APC, PDP, and all of that. But for social institution is cut across. It does not have recourse to political, religious, or whatever institution. No. For instance, education. It is not a function of where you are from or what kind of thing. Everybody can have access. It can be different quality of education, but education is for everybody nevertheless. So there's a lot of difference between political party and social institution. They are not the same. Social institution generally have to do with patterns of behaviors, of norms, of values in a particular thing. But that political party ultimately can come under the political institution. But it is not a political institution on its own. So don't mix them together. They are not the same.
Okay, ma, thank you.
Yeah. What is the name of the textbook? I'm seeing Sarah Mark asking for the name of the textbook. The book is Sociology for Beginners. Sociology for Beginners. Let me see. I think I have a copy here. I will just show you a copy. Hold on. Okay, so if you can see, this is the book. Sociology for Beginners. This is the book. I hope they still keep this color. It's an old copy. It's an old copy. So this is the book, Sociology for Beginners. Chapter 7 of it is on social institution. So if you can lay your hand upon this, it will help you a lot. Most of those institutions are taught in that they are discussed in this chapter. Of course, social movement, social change are a bit of what I have on my own. Okay. McLean Murphy Folua. McLean Murphy Folua, please go ahead.
Good afternoon. So,
Good
my
afternoon.
question is, can a political, so that what you said about a political party just being, it can't come under political institutions. So does it mean that?
I said it is not the same thing. It can fall under, it is not the same thing.
But it's not the same thing. So that means a political party is not a social movement, neither is it a social institution.
That your question is confusing. Let's break it down. Political party could start as a political movement. Eventually, they can become a political party. And when they become a political party, they will be under the political institution, but it is not the political institution. It is a part of. When you say political institution, we're looking at the gamut of processes, structures, laws, values, norms that govern how politics is placed and governance is done. So they are not the same. Political party is just under it. It's like subsumed under a big umbrella. The political party is not synonymous with political institution. Political institution is like a big umbrella that stands, then political party comes under it, political pressure group comes under it, citizen comes under it, voters come under it, INEC in Nigeria election body comes under. Do you understand? So many things come under. Even the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, this all come out of several activities. Different actors are there at the political institution. It is not just about the political parties alone. Political party is a major stakeholder under the political institution. So that's what I'm trying to just clear, and I hope that's clear.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It is.
Yeah,
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Any other question? Okay, let me see if there are questions. Okay, please, who is getting the slide? There are no slides, though, please. You're supposed to follow, and I've told you the text I used for the class. You'll be fine. Don't worry about that. And most of the things I wanted you to listen to, I emphasized in the course of the class. So I think I don't have any other question. Who is talking about money here again? Oh. Okay, so I don't think we have any other person that has any question. On that note, I'd like to say thank you. I hope you learned something from the social institution and social movements or social change, as the case may be. The essence basically is for us to just have an understanding of how institutions over the years, over time, evolve. And they're still evolving, they're changing. That's one thing about life. Change is constant, is inevitable. An institution will not remain the same. And that's why in sociology we talk about institution being dynamic. It's always evolving, it's always changing, and that ultimately individuals are the drivers of these changes. Social movements are also the level, second level of predictors or drivers of social change, and institutions cannot remain the same in the face of collective action and social movement. That's essentially the summary of today's class, that social institution will change based on social change and collective action. Abayomi Damilola. Unmute yourself. Yes, please go ahead, Abayomi Damilola. Are you talking to this class or you are not?
I'm talking. I don't know.
I can't hear you. Go ahead, you have the floor, Abayomi.
Okay, I think it's the network.
Oh, sorry.
My question is that is social. What about social system part of the is system part of the what's wrong with this network? Hello.
I did not get your question. Are you asking if social systems are part of social institution?
Yes, yeah, okay.
Yes, systems are under the institution. It's a breakdown. If you get the book by Professor Nwabeze, you see where the like the build up to social institution, how they evolve. He did a kind of collection. Let me say, okay, start with, if you look at the level of social organization of the society, it starts with individual social action. Individual, all of us, we are social actors, individual social actors. From social actors, a group of social actors will lead us to social groups. A group of social groups will lead us to social institution. Social institution will lead us to social collectivities, and social collectivity will ultimately take us to the society. So you see, at the level of everything is a system. The institution is under the social system. So whatever system we have, if you say something is social system, it is the societal system. It is a system that belongs to the society. That is why the name social is there. Social system is same thing as societal system. The way the system put in play by the society. And the way we look at society in sociology is the way we look at organism in biology. a body system, you know, you have cells, you have organs, you have system and all of that. So it's all about levels and layers of differentiation now. So the social system is the big umbrella. Under the system, you have collectivities. Under the system, you have institutions. Under the system, you have groups. Under the system, you have social actors, which have to do with individuals in that society. So it's all what made that society unique and different from another society.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so I think on that note, I'd like to say good afternoon. It's 8 minutes after 12. I wish you all the very best and take care, everybody. Bye.